Hi, I'm going to talk to you today about loading your book to IngramSpark in the 2020 era. They've made some pretty significant changes to the way that IngramSpark looks. So we're going to go through that new format and how to go ahead and process through the screens, because it is significantly different from the IngramSpark of a month or two ago. All right, so let's get started. All right, so you're going to log into IngramSpark like normal, and your home page now looks like this. So we are going to go ahead and you can either review all your titles, do all kinds of stuff. It's got all kinds of interesting things about your book and what's happening. You still have your sales report at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and click on titles. And if you want to do a new title, you just click on add title. Or you can go through the process below if you want to upload a title, clone a title, all of those things. So we're going to click on add a title. I generally just do print book through IngramSpark, but you may be doing just an ebook, or you may be doing print and ebook. This is where you're going to have to decide where you are at in the process. If you don't have your files ready, but you want to go ahead and get your book's information started, you can choose this one. You can choose that I still need to create it, and here we go. So my files are ready. I have the print cover spread. Yes, I have the print interior. I am good to go. Now, with this question, it's basically asking you, are you loading your book so that you can access it yourself and print and order copies, or are you ready to go ahead and distribute? Well, we want to go with that option because we do indeed want to do that. Okay. So what this is telling you is normally if you didn't already have your own ISBN, you could purchase one through their selling system. Bowker is the best place to go, myidentifiers.com. I would never, ever, ever, ever get a free ISBN. We can have a long conversation about that later, but basically, if you get a free ISBN, you are going under their system, their thing. So I'm going to go ahead. This part is super easy. I'm going to go ahead and just fill in all of the information that's supposed to go in here, and I'll come back to you once I'm at the next place. Okay, so I've got that information in here. I own the copyright and hold necessary publishing rights. Yes, let's see, go through this. Does it include? So this is basically just making sure that you don't have any copyright infringements. Have you included anything of these items that would cause a problem? And if you're concerned about any of this stuff, you can go in here. This is actually a really great thing that they are including in here, because there are a lot of people that are putting in lyrics and song information and pictures that they don't have permission and all of that kind of stuff. So this is very good, and you should make sure that you understand all of this stuff. If you have included any of it, you're going to press yes, and they're probably going to stop you. I've never pressed yes. I don't want to know, but I know that we are good to go. Okay. A public domain work is never going to be a book that you've published unless you've taken something that's in the public domain and put it into a book, but that's a whole different conversation. Okay, so here are some other things that are not necessary but may be helpful if you have a subtitle, if it's a series, all of those things. You're going to fill that out. And then this is where you're going to add in all of... Okay, so in here you can add in extra information if you want to put in the author's biography or all of these types of things. And then if you have an editor you want to include, or an illustrator, if somebody translated it, any of these things you're going to choose here. So this is a children's book, and it's got 2 illustrators. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the illustrator information. So one tip is to have all of your information ready and available ahead of time so that you can quickly grab the information without looking all around. So we've got everyone in here. Now the imprint. This is important. If you want to add an imprint is basically the name that your book is publishing under. So if you're not being published by a publisher, which you wouldn't be self-publishing through IngramSpark if you were, then you can make the imprint basically whatever you want it to be. If you're going to be doing lots of books or publishing other people under your name, then you may want to consider creating a book company with an official name that's going to be your imprint. You can click on here for more information, but basically for it's going to be, like it says, what's going to be displayed as the publisher. And if you want to create an imprint, for example, we just published a book for a business owner, and she has created the imprint Willis Publications based on her company. So it can be your company name, it can be anything you want to create, you know, Gold Star Publishing or whatever. And then to add the imprint, you just put it here. Now, we are publishing this under Purple Butterfly Press. Here's where you find the subjects, and these are based on BISEC codes. So you need to have spent some time learning what your BISEC code is. You can Google BISEC codes, or if you think you're going to be able to do it this way, close please, you can search for it under here, and it's going to bring up most of this is new. Before you had to search and it would bring things up, but so this is a little bit helpful. It's going to give you the codes in the main codes in here, but it helps if you already know generally what you are doing. So it's interesting, they don't have, from what I can see, they don't have a generic children's book thing. So it's helpful if you know the overlying category that it falls into. Now, I am adding the hardcover version of a children's book that was already published in paperback. So I can come over here and I can grab the stuff that we already had over here. So I already know I can go to juvenile nonfiction and grab this code. And children's books are generally one of the few categories that are going to be able to go into nonfiction and fiction at the same time. Generally, you're going to be either nonfiction or fiction. But because of this one, because of the topic, we can slide by in two categories. So I'm going to pick the categories and meet you back. Just one thing, if you just click on this title right here, it's going to add the whole category. Generally, you want to drill down in a little bit in here. So we had it under fiction for religious, Christian, inspirational. So I can go down here to religious, and it's got a drill down, so you drill down again here, and what is that? Fiction, religious, Christian, inspirational. Should be right in here, and it is not. So of note, BISEC codes do change. So social issues matches what I'm going for most likely here. And then I can also do social themes, death, grief, and bereavement. But yeah, you have to, the BISEC codes are updated every single year. So in this case, since the time that we have finished the other one, it has changed. That particular category no longer exists. And that's generally because people are not using those categories often, or they find another category where it fits better. So, oh, that's interesting. That one drills down a little bit. Let me go back into that, because there might be something now that's even more appropriate when you can drill down into it. So we had social, where was that? Social themes. We had death, and then you can actually drill down. Oh, it does not drill down. So sometimes they're there and then, okay. So we've got all that. Then you're going to move on to who is your intended audience. Because this is a children's book, it's obviously going to be children. And then the age range, we said 1 to 8 and K to 3rd grade. I'm going to put 0 to 8 because you can read it to babies, and kindergarten to 3rd grade. And there's other options you can obviously choose. Again, if you have a table of contents, other things that make it even more metadata to go in there. And then your keywords. If you can come in already knowing your keywords and are ready to go, that is fantastic. And these, we need to update these because there's a lot more keywords that we could have in here. So you come back and update your book from time to time, because you may find that there's keywords that work better and keywords that change and other things that happen. So sometimes you publish a book and you think you're good to go, and then you realize there is much more information that you could include. So I am just still coming through here and adding in the difference between the short description and the long description is just exactly what they say. This one is only a very short amount of characters that are allowed to be included, whereas you have 4,000 fields up here. This is not a mandatory one, so it is one you have to drill down to it. And this is a good thing because it can be the short line that's just put out there as a teaser for people. So, okay, interesting. Non-juvenile basic. Did I put a non-juvenile basic? I did not think that I did. Let's see why it thinks young adult. These are all young adult basic cannot be. Okay, I'm going to have to explore this because I'm not sure what's happening here. Okay, I found my mistake. This is interesting. This is another big change. So now they have broken it out. I had grabbed young adult, which I believe is new, and didn't realize that I had gone into young adult, whereas what I really needed was juvenile. So let me add these back in here. And this is good to know because they are not going to allow you to put things into areas that do not fit within your age range. So if you've got an age range that is, as we put in here, children's juvenile 0 to 12, they're going to make sure that these subjects match that, which is good. So I was so busy trying to explain to you guys that I didn't even realize I had chosen young adult instead of juvenile, because I don't believe, without going back and looking at the old version, I don't believe young adult was an option before. So there you go. Now we've fixed it. Okay, so I've put in these things. Oops, I did not want to save and exit. We are going to see if that took. We're going to go through. Okay, great. So we made it to the next section. So everything is good. Now, if your size is not one of these commonly listed sizes here, then you can choose a different size down here. I do believe ours is 8.5 by 8.5. Let me double check here. That's now under the print info. Oh, it is 8 by 8. Good thing I checked. So that's a very standard size book, and then it's obviously going to be color because it's a children's book, and every page is full color, and then you can choose. I like the premium color because I found that these are just not great options for children's books. Now, if you have a color and it's just throughout, you would still choose this if, for example, you have a book where you have several color pictures from time to time. So this might be an option for you. But we're going to pick this one. This is a hardcover, this case laminate. We want a glossy cover. And the page count is 34. The market is going to be Global Connect, but for now we're just going to set it up for the United States. And there it shows us the print cost, which this is a good thing for you to do before you start figuring out your pricing, because now you know that generally you're going to have to give at least a 50% discount if you want your book to wind up in bookstores. So at that point, you can determine if your pricing is going to work. So we had originally priced this book at $16.99, but now knowing that if I set it at a 50% discount, oops, I don't know what just happened there. The price per book when someone buys it is going to be, when a retailer buys it, is going to be $8.50, and then the cost of printing is $8.93. that means the lowest I can price the book is $17.42. So I'm going to have to make some changes. And the thing is, if your price is already embedded in your cover, makes it really hard. You have to go back to the cover designer and say, oh snap, I can't make this $16.99. It's going to have to be at least $18. So that's an important thing to know before you finalize your files. If you don't want to go through the whole math of it all, you can figure it out by going here. I know that it has to be at least 50% off for it to show up on Amazon, and it's going to say that, oops, look at this, this is a problem. It can't be $16.99 or your book will not make any profit. So let's see if we bump it to $17.99. So really, in order for us to make any leadway here, it has to be this. Now the other option is that you can try a lower level of paper and see what happens. But that's a gamble. So what you can do is see what happens when you order a print proof, and if it's okay on this, the paperweight's the same, it's just the difference in coloring, whether or not it's going to look amazing or whether it's going to look so-so. So we are going to just put it at that point for now, and we are going to say no to returns for now. And you can go through, and for overseas, honestly, I put this at a much lower rate for right now at the beginning, because I don't want some of these other places to scoop them up. So I set the return rate as low as possible for overseas until we know for sure that our book is selling. I always put no on returnability for now. I will tell you, if you put no on returnability, that is going to significantly hinder your ability to get into bookstores and retailers. But the reason that we put no is because in the beginning, librarians will often still buy them if the returnability is no. That doesn't matter to them. Bookstores often will not. Bookstores want a minimum of 50 to 55% wholesale discount, generally speaking, and they want them returnable. So, but for most self-published authors, you're not going out the gate with a whole bunch of bookstores trying to sell your book, right? So I set it at what's going to make it show up on Amazon at the beginning. And then as we are getting ready to move forward with marketing and things like that, then I start to go out and I start to talk to bookstores that I think might be a good fit. And I ask them what their policy is. I ask them what the wholesale discount needs to be, and I ask them what the returnability needs to be. And I come back and I adjust these numbers based on the bookstores that are showing an interest. So there's a whole long conversation all about this, but in general, if you are a first-time author, my best advice to you is to set this number at least 50% so that it shows up on Amazon. Although I have seen books at under 50% show up on Amazon. It's, you can play around with it and see what happens. But I would definitely set the returnability at no until you've got some proof of sales and until you're confident and know that you are wanting to work with bookstores. That is something you're going to have to think about and figure out what the right answer is. If you're already partnering with bookstores, then that might not be the right answer for you. So do some research on this. Click on what these question marks say. Read about them. Go to the IngramSpark blog. Figure out what these things really need, and then make your decision based on what's going to be best for your book, not what I have just told you in this presentation, because we are doing it based on what we know to be the best route for the way that we launch our books. But it may not be the best route for everyone. Okay, now you can choose, if you want to make it, you can choose, this is sad, but you can choose yes, destroy. And then if they're not selling your books and they decide to return them, at least you only get the return fee for the cost of the book. You don't get return for shipping and all of that kind of stuff, which can be really expensive. So, okay. Now, the thing to know about these numbers is that you can only change them once per month. So this is really important. If you think, if you're loading this in May, and your book is going to go on sale on May 31st, and you're talking to some bookstores that may or may not want to buy it, And if you've got some interest, then go ahead and put yes based on or whatever the bookstore has told you. Because if you decide to change this to yes on May 18th, it's not going to go in effect until June 1st. So it's important to know that these pricing changes, these things change, and this will only update at the start of the next month. So, oh, I'm sorry. They've updated that. Now it can only be changed once per week. So that is good. It used to be that it would not change until the beginning of the month, and that was really bad if you realized on May 2nd that you had a bookstore that wanted to buy your book and you couldn't change it. So this is another great change with what they're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish all of this out. Again, all of these things they have a strategy behind them for why I'm choosing the things that I'm choosing. So you need to make sure when you are making your decisions that it's based on how you are launching your book and what makes most sense for you. Okay? It auto-filled the prices based on what their knowledge of the marketplace, and this is so helpful because it did not always do this, and a lot of people were really messing up, especially in the Canadian and Australian market. Books price a lot higher in Australia than they do in the US. So we're going to go ahead and fix all of this stuff. This is new. This is cool. This will allow them on the sales page to look inside the book. And then this is probably one of the most important things that you need to know. If you're trying to put your book on pre-order anywhere, so this book already published. So I'm going to put in the publishing date from 5/1/2019 was the publication date. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. Even though it's a new version of the book published on that date. So now, if you are putting your book on pre-order, and today is May 23rd, say my book is publishing on September 4th. What I would do is I would put September 4th for the publishing date, and then I would also put September 4th for the on-sale date. That is what puts your book on pre-order. If you put September 4th as the publication date, and then you put today's date on here, other retailers can start buying your book immediately. And generally speaking, first-time published authors do not want that as an option. So make sure that your publication date matches, or your on-sale date rather, matches your publication date. And again, this is the date that retail partners may not sell your book, and that's very important. So just trust me on that. Let's close these up. Okay, I do not like some of these things here, but we're going to continue on and hope that's going to work. Okay, so then you get to upload your files. So hopefully you have them in a place that's easy to access. All right, so I know where to grab that file, and it will load up. And I'm going to go grab the cover file, load that up. You can load them at the same time now, which is nice. When it's ready to go, it will say, okay, and it's going to let us know we can continue. No metadata errors, that's great. It's found no errors in our title, keywords, all of those types of things. But it may take a minute for the content files to validate. And this is what you are hoping to see. No errors. Now, IngramSpark often runs promotion codes, which is good to know because otherwise you're paying $49. So I know that they have a promotion code right now for COVID-19 through the end of May. So you can always go to their blog, and they will usually tell you when they've got sales and all those kind of stuff going on. So you just grab that promo code, pop it in here, apply. It should change. And if it's not this one, there will be something. There's almost always a code. And then you're going to say, yes, you're agreeing that, that these are your final files, and you are submitting. Okay, so you don't want to do this part if you're just like testing to see different things. That's the That's the thing. Now, what I like about them is they do have a very active blog. You can go in and do all kinds of training on increasing your knowledge, which is important. If you are self-publishing books, you should be behaving like a publisher. So, or you can, if you've got another title you want to add, you can go through there. So this is great. It's going to really walk you through all kinds of things to understand, and then now have a video learning series. So I really encourage you to spend as much time as possible as you can learning the craft if you're going to be doing this, because it will save you time, energy, money, and a lot of costly mistakes. So I hope you found this helpful, and I really do think that even though it looks significantly different than the way that it looked back in the past, this is going to be a really useful tool. All right, really, yeah. All right. Thanks for joining me. I'm Alexa Bigwharf, and I am happy to help you through the writing, publishing, and selling questions you may have.